Welcome to Road to 100 Million, where we are on a mission to impact over 100 million lives to achieve their dreams. Welcome to the next episode of Road to 100 Million, where we are on a mission to impact over 100 million lives to achieve their dreams. I am here with my co-host, Jacob Valdellon, today for another episode of Raw Talks, where we're going to be going through our Sunday accountability, keeping each other in check and on track to where we want to go, right? Our goals. So with that said, let's get started. Let's jump right into it. The first question: what is something that you would change from the last 7 days?
Me personally, it was my health. My gosh, you really don't, you really take for granted your health. You come to realize that when you're healthy, you have 1,000 wishes, but when you're sick, you only have one. And going into this week, coming into a sickness and just realizing that if I had unlimited amount of money in the bank, and it didn't matter how much money I have in the bank if you're just sitting in bed all day, right? So one thing I would do differently is prioritizing my health. I was getting lack of sleep. I think in the last couple episodes, I was telling you my sleep was minimum, my eating was minimum. I was eating one meal a day, and honestly, it started to catch up to me. So the lesson I learned, and what I want to teach us peak performers and people that are really wanting to go out there and create a dream life for ourselves is you have to prioritize your health. You don't want to be retroactive and say, "Man, I did all this hard work and I really got all these results, but at the cost of what?" So for me this week, it's prioritizing my health. What I would do differently is make sure I'm eating healthy, nutritious foods, getting good sleep, and being disciplined with my calendar, knowing that whatever I'm doing stays in line with my values. So yes, health is absolutely wealth.
Awesome. And yeah, no, I mean, it's just like, the last episode where we talked about it as well, where we kind of realized like, oh crap, you didn't, that was, you did, I think it was the sleep and meals and being connected to your values, right?
Hmm.
Having your values in place. So it was like this week, it was kind of like one of the values we kind of went over was, accountability. You're like, how did I attract this to myself? And what am I supposed to learn from it? Right.
Right.
It was like, oh, the lack of attention to sleep, the lack of attention to your health, your eating habits, right? Making sure that you are fueling your body with the right nutrition. And then the accountability was just, your immune system was lower. Maybe that's how got sick or whatever
Right.
it was. But so it's just, I think it's definitely a super important thing to realize, like, health is number one. And that's why, I mean, when you're on an airplane, they tell you put your own mask on first before you
Hmm.
put it on others, right? Because if you're not healthy, you can't take care of others. That's
Absolutely.
bottom line. So it's
Absolutely.
super important lesson. Unfortunately, you had to learn in a pretty tough way.
Ah.
He is doing a lot better than he was. I was checking it in on him the last few days, and you know he still put it together and was able to shape up and make sure we stayed consistent with these. So
Absolutely.
thank you for being on and thank you for pushing through for starters. But
Absolutely. How about you?
yes, one thing I would change. I think since I've started posting on Instagram, right, and getting all the podcast stuff up and
Hmm.
on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Music, like, I've noticed myself looking at the numbers quite a bit. Like, I catch myself even scrolling on Instagram. I find myself looking back at my posts a lot, looking at the engagement, the insights on my account, on my
Yes.
stories. Like, I just find myself like way too into, like, putting way too much attention towards the engagement and towards everything else. And I'm like, dude, like, first of all, you're just wasting time looking at it. It's not going to change the more I check it. So
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
one is just like wasting time, and two is just like it's just my own ego. It wants things to pop off, right? It wants things to move, and I'm like, you got to remember all over again, checking my own ego. Like, it's a long approach, a very long approach that I shouldn't even be worried about the numbers right now. It's just right now it's just a process of record, edit, post,
yeah.
right? And we're just in that flow right now of record, edit, post,
Right.
and we've been doing pretty well on it. I've been consistent. We're 1 week in and we're working on, I think, episode four, I believe.
Hmm.
But so I mean, it's going well, but it's just that scrolling is something I would change, and I think a lot of people have the same,
Oh my gosh.
problem. I mean, social media, like people just constantly wasting time and scrolling mindlessly, like unconsciously. I just like 20 minutes will pass by and I like have to check myself, like, oh crap, like, like that stopped for a while. Like
Yeah.
wouldn't even check my phone for like a whole day or, at times, so it's like,
Right.
now that I see myself do it again, I'm like, okay, I need to make sure I regulate this and keep this on track, right? Even my screen time today showed like 30% above last week. And I'm like, all right, this is not good, like we gotta
Yeah.
get this back under control. So
Yeah.
if anything, I would change that, making sure that I keep control of how much time I'm spending, simply mindlessly scrolling or looking for engagement or just wasting time like that, and making sure that I'm conscious in every moment of I'm aware of what I'm spending my time on.
Right.
So 40% or 30% above last week is not something I want to be spending my time on. So that's what I would have changed in the last 7 days, and just being more aware, taking more mindful moments of it.
One of the basic six human needs that Tony Robbins teaches is significance, right? And I feel like that's where a lot of that stems from. For me, I understand that dopamine is one of the quickest drugs that gets released when we do look at our phone, and that's what causes addiction to looking at our phone. Then it's a pattern that you're catching now early on. I'm glad that you saw it within a week that you're catching this pattern, because a lot of us don't realize that when you pick up your phone, that's already a trigger for us and to go and get a dopamine hit, and it just will over time become an addiction, which I think it's only been a week for you, so you're good. So, and a lot of us also have to remember that when you do post to social media, what is the purpose for posting? Are you posting to look at the feedback for the likes, or are you posting it for the value, the proposition you're giving to your audience? So I learned that. So that's just a good takeaway for our audience to kind of understand what is the intent for why you're looking at your phone. Is it for posting more to bring value or to look for feedback? And if you're looking for your phone for feedback, you might want to question why you're doing this for yourself, right? So that's all my just my 2 cents.
I like that for sure. That significance. It's very interesting to think about that too, because on that side of like you want that kind of recognition for whatever it is you're trying to do, or
Mhm.
even with the value I'm trying to provide, right? So it's
Mhm.
like I still kind of you seek that significance or that recognition in it, and it's just it's just I think understanding it is the first biggest step, is realizing, okay, I'm simply just doing this because I want to seek you're seeking that kind of recognition, and being aware of it is the first step. Just kind of like, I don't know, alcoholism. It's like the first step to getting back is to
Yes.
identify or understand or admit to having a problem, right? So I think the first step is just realizing, okay, you know what, I do look at this for that reason, and maybe I shouldn't. And then from there, your awareness just starts to, you start to mentally note more often and more often. You see the pattern, and then
Absolutely.
from there, that's when you can kind of change the habit, change the pattern. And I made sure that the rest of the week, once I started realizing that, I made sure that every single morning, I am not looking at my phone until after I'm done with my entire morning routine. So like
Absolutely.
probably like 2 hours after I wake up.
Yeah.
And so doing that is a good start, to make sure of that. But
Mhm.
throughout the rest of it, it was just being more aware. Right away, I'm able to, like, I'll click the Instagram app and be like, oh, nope, no, like instantly, right as soon as it's loading, I'm like, damn it. And I'll just like lock my phone and put it back down. And I'm
Yes.
like, all right.
Yes.
So it's just having that mental awareness, I think, to it. Cause a lot of times, like people, you pull out your phone, you check, and you don't even realize it, but you check your first like three top social medias or messages or whatever the first three things you check, you go through all of them first,
Mhm.
your emails or whatever it may be, And so for me, I was just like, all right, I got to check myself. And I stopped. And then so each time I would even open my phone, I'd be like, what am I doing in here? What am I, like it was
Yeah.
just the mental awareness is, what's going to help with that. But I mean, that was just something that I would have changed. And I think you added on to that, right? So
Yeah.
for you, what is the biggest lesson that you've learned in the last 7 days?
Biggest lesson. Ooh, so for me, my business partner, shout out to my business partner, Michael Viscara. He's my co-realtor in business, Ambiance Realty. Shout out Ambiance Realty. It's a mentor-mentee relationship. How important it is to have a healthy mentor-mentee relationship. what it's like to be a good mentor, knowing when to check your mentee and when it's like to be a good mentee, to know how to take constructive criticism the right way. A mentor is going to lead you in the sand and make sure that he shows you the road less traveled. And all you have to do is step in little footholes where the sand has his footprints so you don't make any mistakes. And, he checked me in so many different areas where I felt like I was just kind of distracted, and I wasn't handling clients the way I should have, and I wasn't handling business the way I should have, and my efficiencies weren't as good. All the while, I wasn't clear on what I wanted. So, in order to be a good mentee, also, you have to learn how not to take offense to what your mentor is saying, and know that they're telling you because they care for you and they want to see what's best for you. So Mike and I have such a strong connection in business and as a friendship, and because of that, I see immediate massive growth within myself to take action, as well as watching my patterns in business become more efficient, become more professional, and in the end, actually produce more results. So the biggest thing and biggest lesson for me was having a strong mentor-mentee relationship.
Yeah, definitely. Because I used to experience this with Dave too. Like he means the well, his intents are the best, but like he'll tear your ass up if he needs to. He's gonna get on your ass, and he literally, he used to tell everyone, he's like, just know if I'm yelling at you or like getting on your case, like it's because it's a good thing. It's because I see
Right,
potential in you. If I didn't
right.
see any potential in you, I wouldn't waste time on trying to get you better or investing into you. So literally the first time, and I remember telling you this like it was the other day, but it was like last year in August, right? It was like the first time Dave had ever like gotten on my case. And it was right when we started working remote. So, and COVID was going crazy, so my focus was off, my productivity was off.
hmm
And he noticed right away. And so I get a call from him. He kind of gets on my case and everything else. But it was probably the first time that I had ever been yelled at and started smiling. And I was
Yeah.
like, all right, yeah, he sees potential. Because before that, it was kind of like we would talk, but he wasn't really on my case because he wasn't like dealing with the media stuff so much. It was
hmm
kind of me and like the head of media. But just having that different perspective of, they're not like they're not micromanaging you or just getting on your case because they had a bad day or anything. They're getting on you because they want you to be better. They want you
hmm
to grow, right? They're trying to teach you the right way to do things.
Right.
And even professionally for you or business or efficiencies, it's like you're good, but let's just fine tune you some more.
Absolutely.
We it's the fine tuning that separates the 99% to the 1%, right?
100%.
It's that fine tuning, because most people can get to the same area, but to really separate yourself is where that fine tuning comes in. And that's where, you're able to sit back and see and be able to realize that they are mentors that are sitting in a space that you want to be in, right?
hmm
So whatever they're telling you, you're just no ego down, right? Just listening and saying, okay, you know what? Like I'm taking everything into consideration, everything,
Absolutely.
I'm,
Everything.
so I mean, that was such a good way to perceive that right off that, and we haven't even talked about that yet. I think you and me, like, outside of this, but just even seeing that in you, and for to have that perspective to take that constructive criticism, right? I think it's something that's so important, because that was something I used to hear all the time. That questions with Dave, like, oh, what about my boss? He's always on my case, micromanaging me, and he's like, that means he cares, idiot. Like he's like that means he's trying to make you better. Like
Yeah.
you should be happy. Like what if you had a leader or a boss that just let you, sink or swim, it's like just put you out there and said, all right, well, figure it out, instead of, getting your case, helping you, saying, okay, these are your weak points, this is where you need to work on, then where you're weak, instead of just saying, oh, thinking like you're good and, it's all their fault. And, it's a sense of accountability too.
100%.
But, I that's just so important. And, your perception of being able to catch your own ego. I'm sure right as soon as you started getting on your case, your ego wants to flare up, like
Oh,
right in the
a little
beginning.
bit, a little bit, just a little
Your
bit.
ego wants to flare up. It,
Yeah.
it comes in immediately.
Yeah.
And so from there,
Radical
it's like,
humility. That's
yes,
the answer.
yeah, radical humility. You got to be humble. You got to be, you got to have humility to be able to say, hey, look, I don't know what I don't know,
hmm
but I'm willing to learn and willing to get better. That's it. It's not what happens there. It's what action you take from that point on? Are you going to go and sit back and be like, it's like, screw this guy, like, what does he know? Or are you going to say,
Right.
okay, he's right. I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start creating these habits so I can start getting better here.
Absolutely.
Like the reaction is the biggest part of that, I think. So, and I actually experienced that this week for me as well. One thing that I learned this week um, was, now that I've been scaling my team and getting things going with the new business, I actually had one of my first guys that I got on my team quit on me, right?
Sure.
He ended up, he giving me a call and telling me, he's getting into like a real estate photography business and doing all this stuff. And, he's like, that's what I want to chase. On the beginning of the call, I came in and like, hey, I just wanted to make sure, like, I tried like, going through all the reasons and the goals that we have previously set and talked
Right.
about with him.
Right.
And, after kind of going through that, realizing, okay, look, this is something that he just needs to do. This is the vision that he has for 2021, right? Like he was like, this is the angle I want to go in, right? This
Right.
is what I want to do. And I'm like, dude, I respect that totally. And, like, thank you for being honest with me, thank you for doing this and being honest with me and letting me know, like, this is the direction I want to go.
Hmm.
But instantly, like I said, your ego might have flared up. Mine, I felt it right away too. As soon as I'm like, fuck, like, it wants to come in. And then instantly I'm like, wait, no, no, no. Like, I got to make sure that I'm checking myself. And so I ended up like going and saying, you know what, like, dude, thanks for, being honest with me and like, let me know if there's any way I can possibly help. Like I said,
Yes.
always like, just call me, bro. If you need any help with anything, I used to run a business in social media marketing. Like I
Yep.
can help you to scale, to scale your business. You're starting it off, you're young. So, just, being, um, the lesson there is just being the type of leader that I would want to have. When I called Dave and told him about my idea of transitioning, instantly he's like, dude, I think that'd be a great idea. He was super supportive and he's like, yeah, man, and even offered me
Yes.
to join the team and everything, right? He was just super supportive, whether
Yes.
it benefited him or not. And that's the kind of leader I want to be, right? That's the kind
Yes.
of leader I want to model after. So it was the same thing. And I even took it further and I was like, hey, dude, I just want to ask, like, where did I miss out? Where could I have been better? Like, how could I have managed expectations better? How could I have improved this relationship here?
Right.
So I got a learning lesson, got a good answer, and even have a good relationship. And he's like, I hope we can still be friends. You've been and
Oh
very
my gosh.
inspiring for
Yeah.
me and a good mentor. And I'm like, dude, of course, man. And like anytime, just call me, text me, whatever you need help with. Like, so that lesson of just learning what kind of leader I want to be
Yeah.
instead of being that leader of you either ride with us or you're against us. It's like
Right.
I know you've experienced kind of something like that,
Yeah.
where it was kind of like you got the cold shoulder after they weren't benefiting from you or something, and that's just not the leader I want to be, right? I just
Absolutely.
want to, that's why I have the road to 100 million, where we're just trying to impact people. We're just trying to change people's lives, whether they stay with me or not. Like on the other business side of things, like that's okay. Like
Yeah.
it's not for everyone.
Right.
Like everyone's path is different. Like you got to go through certain sections of that path that lead you all to the right direction, right? It's just leading you. You're trying different things. Like, come on, dude. I went through 12 different jobs and like probably 5 to 10 different businesses that I try to
Yes.
start. Like,
Yes.
and then even after Dave and then jumping again, and so it's like there's a process of learning and going through different things and different stages. And I think it's all meant to happen. I think there's maybe I changed a little bit of the trajectory for him and
Hmm.
to make him think or be more inspired, because I started mentoring that guy when he first like picked up a camera. That was the first time. I was still working for Dave at that time. And then now to see, okay, he's getting really good with the camera and he's getting to real estate photography where he can make some good money, and he has his LLC all structured out right now and everything. So it's just really cool to see, and I needed to make sure that I am the leader that I wish to have. So I
Absolutely.
think just leadership qualities. I think that was for sure the biggest lesson in the last 7 days.
What I would something short, because we're gonna run out of time here shortly. To just comment on that is people that say you're either with us or against us, they live in a world of not enough, right? What I've learned that through Dave's teachings also is that you pray for people's happiness wherever the road takes them, because somehow some way they'll you're gonna come full circle to one day insure them in financial product, or somehow sell them a home, or somehow come full circle with them. So you want to make sure that door is always open and there's a revolving door that they can come in without having any ego aside, and they feel comfortable reaching out to you. So that's what I want to say. I want to follow that leadership as well.
Let's see. Last question. What was something that was amazing in the last 7 days?
Amazing for me. I got sick about 2 days ago, and it hit me hard and fast. So the things that got me onto the road to recovery, that where I'm at right now, being able to just talk in front of a camera and feel good and feel clean and feel healthy, I think it's my sphere of influence, the positive mindset I had with it, the medicines I take, and then the amount of sleep that I had. Those are the four things that really got me onto the road to recovery. So if anyone's out there that gets sick, just realize that it's not a game over, right? It's just a game on. Let's go. So for me, the first person off the top of my head that really, made it the biggest difference in this road to recovery for me was Mike, my business partner. He went and sent me a care package twice over. He sent me this drink. He sent me soup. He was talking to me constantly, sending me good vibes, always writing positive messages to me. He was out there handling business over the weekend, making sure there was a pulse in our business over the weekend, and he's just been a support system. Like, truly love the dude. He's been like one of my greatest friends ever since I started this real estate journey. So shout out to Mike, number one. Number two, my mom, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles. They've all called on and checked on me, and knowing I have those people that really support me, it just, you realize there's reason to live and there's reason to let your body heal, and really, um, there's people that you have to work for. So that was number two. Number three, my sisters. They were the ones taking care of me in person, buying me stuff from Target, Sprouts, getting me all the medicines and the water and all the good stuff. And then number four was you, Andrew. You were able to check on me as well. So I appreciate your friendship, and you just come to realize there are some people that really care for you, regardless of your financial standpoint, regardless of your status in life. There's just really good people out there that have your back regardless of any situation. So those are the four people. And then it's just the positive mental attitude, right? Knowing that you're going to overcome this, raising your vibrational frequency, knowing that your cells are part of you. And if you could actually vibrate at a higher frequency, but through prayer, meditation, watching motivational videos, you can heal faster. You get deeper sleep, and you probably just sweat all that flew out of you. Because I was cold sweats under 6 blankets in my bed, dude. It was death. Um,
Yikes.
and then lastly, it was just the right regimen for the meds I was taking and the amount of sleep, fluids, and water. So for me, it's just amazing knowing I have a support system that no matter if I get sick, I have people that I can really lean on and depend on. And it was just super, super amazing. How about you?
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, I feel like it's just really humbling, to see that, for, how many people you actually have in your support system that you have right in your back pocket, right?
Hmm.
I mean, we tend to forget, how many people would actually, reach out and check on us to make sure on us, right? That we're good or healthy or, just doing well and just checking up. So I think it's just really humbling to see that, even from my perspective of, not thinking that my calls were really that much. It was just me kind of checking in. It was like, hey, we haven't talked today. Like, are you okay? Are you
Good
still alive?
health.
Like, you're
Yeah.
good, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, for me, amazing. Definitely the training I hosted for the Milliard group. That was one nerve wracking. Speaking, I didn't even look at the number on the call, like how many people were on the call because I didn't want to know. I was like, dude, I'm gonna get nervous.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I can talk like this. This is really easy. Me and just the camera is pretty easy. But when there's a live audience, there's a couple hundred people on a call. Like, you start to, it starts to beat pretty quick. Your heart
Yeah.
starts going, your palms get a little sweaty, and I'm like, all right, relax. Like, start focusing on my breathing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was so amazing. Well, coming into it, like you've seen me speak on a couple panels now,
Right.
and it's not the same thing as me how I can speak right now and flow right now because the nerves kind of get to me. But I think that was one call, the first call where I was able to control my nerves, like literally mid-set sentence. It was like
Mm-hmm.
I felt myself coming in fast and felt myself nervous and kind of speed talking. Your breath goes away. You're out of breath, and So it was kind of like I noticed and I just like paused, like literally half a second, maybe pause between like sentences. And I like
Mhm.
felt it, just my nerves absolutely just dropped. Everything just kind of dropped. And then
Yep.
I just went through what I knew, right? What I, the speech and the training I had set up. So it was like, I was able to go through the rest of it really confidently, right? And it was just like, okay, now, I'm starting to see, like getting in front of it, having some more practice and just doing it repetition, right? Doing it more times. It was cool to finally see like, okay, I can do this without being nervous as shit. Cause I think that first call, like I was literally like shaking after, and it was like, it's tough, man. I mean,
Yeah.
public speaking, even though it's one of my, main goals and missions, to speak in front of, 50,000 plus people. Um, it's just, it was cool to be able to actually experience giving a speech, but giving it confidently where I'm like, I'm in control of my emotions and my thoughts,
Yes.
right? I'm just in
Yes.
control. And so that was amazing, as well as, oh man, the feedback I got from it. A lot of these people, a lot of the top agents or top, producers there, they've met me maybe a couple times. They haven't really heard much of my story and me, um, so the feedback I got right off the bat was like amazing. Like they have the senior marketing directors have like a group message together with the Miliari group, and Nick sent me a screenshot of like them talking highly of me, and it was just such a good feeling to have.
That's so
And
cool.
it's just such a warm feeling. Like, it's one of those smiles where you just can't stop smiling, like you're just like, bro, no way. Like they said this and that, like, that's
Yes.
awesome. Cause, right
Yes.
after you give a speech, you're always the first thing you're like, damn, I want to hear feedback. I want to know what it
Yes.
was like on
Yes.
the other end. So, I mean, it was just cool to get that feedback right off the bat from them and, have the opportunity to even, host that. I got a call from Nick early in the week. He's like, hey, dude, I want you to, host this training with me. And, it was kind of us, it was me first and handing it off to him and stuff. But, I think it was just super cool. And I think we're building some good relationships there with, there's such amazing leaders there. And so like, it meant
Right.
a lot. It meant a lot to hear that stuff from them, So these are all people that, deal with Ed closely. So, just getting that praise from them, because for us, that bar, that standard is really high, right? We're led by Ed Milet, so like that's kind of the standard, right? That's
Right.
like that's what we're trying to reach, whether
Right.
we're at Ed's standard or we're at Ed's level or not.
Right.
That's what we're trying to reach. That's the bar, right? And so just getting that praise back from them was just absolutely amazing. And just having that control of my emotions and to be able to give a speech confidently,
Yeah.
that I think that was the most amazing part about it. So yeah, definitely humble, definitely grateful to even have that opportunity to do that
Right.
for the entire Miliari group.
Right.
That was really cool. So it was just amazing, man. It was just amazing to finally get some practice in and get better at this, day after day. It took over 200 times of documenting myself last year, right? With just me and my little camera, like like 200 times of just me talking to my camera, super
Yes.
awkward. And then just mentoring calls, like talking, like the amount of talking I did, like to see it finally kind of like, all right, now it's like in action, it's working better. Like the last episode too, I told you, the last 5 Minute Friday I just released, I did it in the first take. Like it took me like 7 minutes and I
Wow.
didn't even have much prepared, and it just kind of flowed out of me. So I'm getting a lot better at channeling and being able to actually deliver a lesson. And I think that's just seeing the progress there is the best
What I
thing.
want to say on that, a lot of the stuff you've done, you're preparing, right? Like I said, the things that you do in private or the things that you do in silence, you get praised for in public. So all those hours you've done, all those little videos you did, all the calls we've had, you're just preparing for that moment without knowing you're preparing for that moment. You know what I'm saying? There's so
Yeah.
much stuff that you have to work on. So this is another lesson to take away is for the listeners that are listening in is what you're doing right now isn't being taken for granted. You're actually working towards a bigger goal, bigger potential that you have no idea what you're working towards yet, but you're preparing yourself for your greatness. That was your very first call, and I'm sure that's not your very last call either. You're going to continue to
Yeah.
speak on these calls, get better, deliver more messages, deliver better lessons, go out there and inspire your team, actually start pumping out and producing results because of who you're becoming, right? You don't get, life doesn't get easier, you just get better. So I would like to just comment on that. We are at 30 minutes on the dot, baby. Let's go.
There we go.
Finish off on the 30. Let's finish off.
10 second blitz. 10 second blitz. Let's
I
go.
know you go first.
Go.
I know that you're gonna go 7-minute blip, dog. You go. I'm gonna finish my 10-second blip last.
Oh man. All right. 10-second blip. Shit. Dude, just I think just with the lesson I learned this week of being the type of leader that I wish I had, or I did get to experience, I guess, through Dave and through Ed too, right? Through these leaders, it's impossible to attract anything else than you exerted. So it's like whatever energy you're putting out, whatever frequencies you're putting out and exerting into, the quantum field and whatever else, it's like that's what you're going to attract. It's impossible to attract anything else than what you're putting out. So it's super important to make sure at all times in every area of your life you are putting out exactly what you want to attract, whether it's in business or in personal life or in health or whatever it is. You're going to attract exactly what you put out there. So just be mindful of that.
Fire. For me, can't say it enough, is health is the ultimate wealth. I think I've posted on my story a few times here, at the gym, but you take it for granted once it's stripped from you. Once you're in bed and you're really not performing at peak performance because not by your choice, but because of circumstance, you realize that, man, what I would do to go out there and work tirelessly for my 18-hour days, like I would have switched with anyone to go out there and work a job or work something because you're just literally incapacitated. So my takeaway, 10-second blip, is truly health is the ultimate wealth. And with that, Andrew, you can go ahead and close us off for today's episode.
Beautiful. As always, guys, I appreciate you all for listening in on this episode of Road to 100 Million. Remember, you can always find me and Jacob on Instagram, me at Andrew Salas, Jacob at
Jacob ENV1.
I'll put it in the show notes. Also, email Andrew at andrewsalas.com with any questions at all. I reply to everything. Just reach out, and I'd love to see how I can be of service for you and or people whoever it is. Literally, we're just here trying to have an impact. So please do reach out, and I will see you guys on the next episode of Road to 100 Million. Thank you, guys.